Alright, our specimen for today is a 1990 Audi 200 turbo front-wheel drive model. This is actually my girlfriend's car. Basically just came in here, thought that it's been about a year since I've really locked over this car real well, besides obviously normal oil changes, maintenance, that kind of thing. So I figured I might as well just go over a quick little inspection of it. Now this car is going to be quite different from what you're probably going to be driving. Granted that this is just a general inspection, so it pretty much goes to say on most vehicles it's going to be about the same anyway, okay? Every vehicle you're going to have a radiator. This one's located in the driver's front corner. Obviously there's no place to actually put a radiator in the front of the engine on this model. But a lot of radiators are actually going to be located directly up front of the engine. You're going to have your upper radiator hose. You're also going to have a lower radiator hose. It's going to be at the bottom. It's kind of hard to tell when I'm pointing it right there. You're also going to have either a radiator cap or a pressurized overflow bottle. This one does not have a radiator cap, but the pressurized overflow bottle is here. This is the radiator cap for it, okay? Now this one also has accessory hoses going throughout the engine. This is an after-run pump. It's designed so it keeps coolant flowing through the actual turbocharger. That way it doesn't burn the turbo up after you actually shut the engine off. Obviously there's a hose coming off there. The upper radiator hose is integrated into this hose, and there's another hose that returns the actual antifreeze back down to the engine, okay? Now, for the actual antifreeze hoses, basically all you really got to do is take a good look at them. Usually you can tell if there's cuts, slits, or anything like that. Sometimes you got to squeeze them, turn around a little bit. Sometimes you have to clean them up. One little thing you want to notice, if a radiator hose is getting a little old, now these are actually starting to bellow. As you can see, there's a bit of a lip right here. It looks like it's ballooning out. If that starts to happen, that means these hoses are getting a little bit old, and you might want to think about replacing them. But you should also judge that basically how the rest of the hose looks. This one's in pretty good shape, doesn't have any nicks, it's not dry, rot, and cracked, which is not bad for a 20-year-old vehicle if I do say so myself. The water hose going actually over to the after-run pump here is in good condition, and so is the one going down to the actual engine itself. So now that we actually gotten a good look at that, you're also going to want to just take a general look around your radiator. Most radiators are going to have these plastic, these are known as caps, on both sides. This one's kind of hard to see because it's under the fender. But you're going to want to look at these two. A lot of times if a radiator gets a little old, it'll crack and it'll start leaking. Just another quick little second that could save you a breakdown on the side of the road in the future. Moving on, I got the spark plug wires, and this is a distributor. It's not a coil ignition, a lot like what more cars are nowadays. Almost all cars are electronic coil ignitions. When it comes to this, you're just basically going to take a good look at the actual spark plug wires. Make sure they're not touching anything that could have burned them. Look for slits, cuts, burns, abrasions, that kind of thing. Once again, this is just a quick little demonstration. And, you know, if you really wanted to go into a real good inspection, you know, you can pull out the actual spark plug boots and the wires off, take the plugs out, but I'm not going to go into that depth. But you have a general idea from there. Move on as well. Obviously, every single vehicle on the road has some sort of air filter. This one's a little bit of bear to get out. It's actually located inside this housing, which I've already taken the air filter out and I placed over here on my workbench. Now this air filter, once again, it's probably a little hard to see, but it's actually getting quite dirty. There is a couple little tricks you can go, I guess, to determine if these are halfway clean. I know there's a lot of people that actually hold these up to like the light or something like that, see if they can see light coming through it. You know, it works more or less, but I'm more of a stickler. So on my personal vehicles, when they start getting this dirty and you actually fan open the little paper plates like these, you can see that there's a lot of dirt inside those veins. So I'm just going to replace this. It's only $7, so it's not that big deal. Keep in mind that these air filters nowadays are made of paper, unless you have like a K&N or aftermarket air filter, so you can't wash these out or blow these out. I've seen a lot of people in the past, it's like, oh, we'll just blow them out and they'll be fine. If you put compressed air to this or water, you'll actually make them fall apart and you'll do a lot more damage than it's good. So just replace your air filter. Go on. This car obviously is a turbocharged car, so it has intercooler piping. The intercooler is right here. The intercooler actually cools the air going inside the engine. Has upper and lower hoses that go to the intake manifold here, and a little bit of a different, this is a CIS mechanical style fuel injection. Once again, this is something, unless you're driving an older European vehicle, you're probably not going to see it. Most of the cars are fuel injected. No, correction, all vehicles are fuel injected nowadays, either that or diesel. These are just plastic inlet boots that on these cars, you know, you generally have to look at cracking inside here or just general deformity of the actual inlet boot. Now, if you are driving a turbo car or something like that, they are going to have probably something like this somewhere in the system, excuse me. This is what they've been dubbed, also known as a Michelin man hose. This is the upper intercooler hose. It takes the air, cool air from the intercooler and delivers it back into the engine. These generally on these vehicles do rot out after several years. General inspection, you just take these out and just basically looks for dry rot and cracking. This one's in good shape. I didn't replace this one too long ago. A lot of times on these turbocharged cars, you can take them out, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's oil inside this pipe. That just goes to say this car is about 20 years old. Has about 139,000 miles on, which isn't bad for a car this age, but the turbocharger is starting to leak oil, which is unfortunately going to happen. So that hose is in good shape. You also have another hose here. This is the actual hose that comes off the turbocharger and goes up to the intake pipe. Once again, it's got oil in there, but it's in more or less good shape. There's several different hoses for the turbo inlet and the outlet, but I'm not going to go over every single one of them. It would take too much time. One thing I like to do, a lot of people don't necessarily do this, and I think it's a mistake. Over time, as the engine operates, you're going to get a lot of carbon deposits inside the intake manifold and eventually get inside the cylinder head here, which can actually gum up the engine, make it run poorly, drop your fuel economy. So every so often, I'd like to open up the throttle body here. This is going to be a little hard to do, so I'm going to set the camera down for a second. Maybe you can still see this. Open the throttle body up. I'm wearing gloves so it doesn't get all dirty, but I'm going to stick my finger inside the actual throttle body and just swipe around in there and see what the condition is. Now, if you can see my glove, it's actually quite dirty. That's a lot of the carbon deposit that has built up inside of there. I like to run what they call an intake system cleaning in most vehicles that I own, roughly about 12,000 miles. Manufacturer actually does recommend doing that, depending on who makes your car, every so often, and the process is relatively cheap, and it's usually pretty easy. It's a little harder on the turbocharged cars because you have vacuum hoses and that sort of thing, but it looks like I'm going to be replacing the air filter on her car. I'm going to run a cleaner through the intake manifold, help remove any of that excess carbon that may be inside the engine. When you're underneath the hood, it's always a good idea to just take a look at your fluids. Obviously, going back over to the radiator bottle, these are usually clear. You can see the water level down there. It is kind of low, so I'm going to top that off. It's been rather hot the last couple days here in northern Ohio, so sometimes the water level will go down. Sorry, not water level, antifreeze level will go down. When you're topping off your fluids, make sure that you do not open this cap while the engine's hot. It may actually explode hot antifreeze on you, which will ruin your day. You also brake master reservoir. Every car has one, obviously. This is clear bottle as well. That is completely full. And this is power steering reservoir. It was a clear bottle, but it's kind of got shaded over the years. But you probably can't see it, but the level is all the way up to the max, which is good. So I guess I'm going to stop here. I'm going to record an additional video of how to run an intake system cleaning through your car. Once again, it's always a good idea to run that through gasoline. Make sure you're using a gasoline. You can't run into diesel engines. It's always a good idea to run that through there. Like I said, about once a year or every 12 months. 12 months, 12,000 miles. Helps keep everything nice and clean going into the engine. If you like what you see so far, please subscribe with your information below, your name and your email address, and I'll continue adding these videos. Also, if you have any comments or questions, concerns, anything like that, or you'd like me just to address any, basically, hey, I got this kind of car, you know, how do you do this, general maintenance, just email me or put a little comment at the page below, and I'll do my very best to post a video. Other than that, I'm going to stop the video here. The next video will be how to run an intake system cleaning through your engine. This has been Chris from PreppyBoys Automotive, and I will see you.